Hi everybody, Mrs. Bodge here. I am going to show you today how you can access the Smarter Balance practice test from home so that your student can prepare for the SBAC test from the comfort of their own homes. So first things first, you are just going to Google SBAC practice. And then either of these two links will get you where you need to go. So just go ahead and click on Student Login. And when you're just practicing, you don't need to worry about having a username or an SSID or any of this. You just click Sign In. And on this screen, you're going to select the grade for your student and click Yes. Now, on this page, because this is the practice test, this shows a lot more options. When your student takes the Smarter Balance test, there are 4 parts to the test. 2 parts for English Language Arts and 2 parts for math. There are more options here because there's different training tests, which is basically the same as the practice test. So let's look at the English Language Arts practice test first. G4 means grade 4. This page is where we'll choose the settings. So your student might have certain accommodations that help them be more successful on the test that we will set before your child starts testing. If you want to play around with them, you can, but it's really not necessary. So you scroll down and you click Select. This just reviews the accommodations that have been set. Click Yes. On this page, you're prompted to test the audio on your computer and make sure you can hear the sound. And if you hear it, you click I heard the sound. And then this just explains the instructions and explains some of the navigational tools. You don't need to worry about it too much. So let's click Begin Test Now. So the Smarter Balance test is different from other standardized tests that your student may have done in the past, or if you have older students. It's different than the OAKS test, for example. So here it's divided, there are 2 halves. On this side we have the text that your student is required to read. It's a short story. It looks like it's probably fiction. And then if you click on this, it expands it or reduces the size of the text. Over here we have 9 questions on this page. You'll need to scroll down in order to see all of them. If you look up here, it says questions 1 through 9. That's how you know that there are 9 questions on this page. So there are different types of questions that your student will need to be able to answer. So this one, for example, Matthew and his family go to the farmer's market regularly. Pick the 2 details from the passage that best support this inference. So they have to reread this sentence and then choose 2 details to support their idea. I don't know. Let's just choose 2. Okay. And then there's also some short answer questions. So what lesson does he learn in the passage? Use details from the passage to support your answers. So they'll need to pick out a couple details and then explain what the lesson is. This is an interesting one as well. So the author uses the word disappointed in the passage. Click on the group of words in the sentence that best support this idea. So your student will need to hover over this sentence to see what the options are. Okay, a cloudy Saturday, what I wanted, no such luck. And then they'll have to choose, click on the phrase that they feel best supports the meaning of this word in order to answer this question. So this type of question has been tricky for students in the past because it's not clear what the question is asking. So make sure you practice that one with your student at home. And then of course there's the basic multiple choice, A, B, C, or D. It collapsed. Okay? Some of them have 2 parts, like question 5 here is part A and part B. Some, I don't see one here, but sometimes there will be drag and drop questions. They'll be given a couple sentences from the passage and they have to drag and drop them to put them in chronological order. So play around with this test, get a feel for what the different types of questions are for the ELA test. And one more important thing, your student has to answer all the questions before going on to the next page. So I haven't answered them all. If I click next, I will see this attention message saying you haven't answered all the questions. And if you look down, it says questions that still require an answer, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So if that pops up while your student is practicing, it's because they have to answer them all before they can go on. If there's one that they're not sure of, maybe question 5, they can mark their best guess, and then up here, if they click on these 3 lines, mark for review. So at the end of the test, if there were ones that they really weren't clear about, they can come back, and answer them, and review their answers later. Okay, that is one more thing that I wanted to show you. So for this question, you see how these words have a line above and a line below? If you click on it, it gives you a quick definition. It brings up the glossary and tells you what that word means. So if your student says, I don't know what a seller is, they can click on it and have an explanation of that word. I think I've answered them all now, right? Oh no, see, still haven't answered a question. Question 2. All right. What does he learn? He learns to be... I didn't actually read the passage. Okay, so, see, here's another one. Click on 2 sentences that best support the idea. So they have to hover over and click on one. So there's a lot of reading. There's a lot of reading that your student has to be able to do in order to be successful on the English Language Arts test. All right, now let's look at the math test. You're going to access it the same way. SBAC practice, student login, same thing, no username, no password, select the grade, yes. All right, so just like the ELA test, there are 2 parts to the math test, the performance task and the computer adaptive test. So let's look at the math practice test. Now, one key difference between the ELA test and the math one is that we can choose to have the directions in Spanish for your student, for the math test only. For the English Language Arts test, we're obviously assessing their language skills in English, so that's not an option for the reading and writing test, but it is an option for the math test. I won't mark it for this one though. Let's leave it in just English. Okay, yes, this is my test. Next step, same thing here, instructions and help. Scroll through it if you want to. Begin test now. Great. So this is a great example of one of the questions that they'll come up with. There are a lot of word problems on the SBAC test. This one says a baker has 159 cups of brown sugar and 264 cups of white sugar. How many total cups of sugar does the baker have? So here it's a simple addition question. They need to add these together. It's important that we understand that this keypad down here is just for writing the answers. It is not a calculator. So what would this be? Oh, that reminds me. On the test, your student will have access to a pencil and paper, so they don't have to add things in their mind. Because with mental calculations, there is a lot of room for error. 11, 12, 3. So 323. So they can use this keypad to type it in, or they can use the keypad that's on the computer. Either one is fine. Same as the ELA test, they do need to answer all the questions before going on, or they will get that attention message. So there are questions like the previous one where they have to type in the answer, and then there's other ones like this where they have to read through a student's work. So he is adding these 2 numbers, these are the steps that he takes, and then it says he's made a mistake. Select the statement that corrects his mistake. So there are multiple choice questions, but they're very language heavy, which is why it's important that we have the accommodation of, for some students, their directions will be in Spanish, because that way it helps us to focus just on assessing their math skills and not assessing their reading in English skills. So he should have added the whole numbers. Okay? So go ahead and play around with this as well, get a feel for the different types of tests, the different types of questions that your student will be facing on the SBAC test, and then just go ahead and give me a call if you have any questions. All right, thank you so much. Have a good day.